Carol Delaney and other commentators have argued that Columbus was a Christian millennialist and apocalypticist, and that these beliefs motivated his quest for Asia in a variety of ways. Columbus often wrote about seeking gold in the log books of his voyages, and writes about acquiring it, in such quantity that the sovereigns will undertake and prepare to go conquer the Holy Sepulcher, in a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Columbus often wrote about converting all races to Christianity. Abbas Hamandi argues that Columbus was motivated by the hope of delivering Jerusalem from Muslim hands by using the resources of newly discovered lands. Despite a popular misconception to the contrary, nearly all educated Westerners of Columbus's time knew that the Earth is spherical, a concept that had been understood since antiquity. The techniques of celestial navigation, which uses the position of the sun and the stars in the sky, had long been in use by astronomers and were beginning to be implemented by mariners. As far back as the 3rd century BC, Eratosthenes had correctly computed the circumference of the Earth by using simple geometry and studying the shadows cast by objects at two remote locations. In the 1st century BC, Posidonius confirmed Eratosthenes's results by comparing stellar observations at two separate locations. These measurements were widely known among scholars, but Ptolemy's use of the smaller, old-fashioned units of distance led Columbus to underestimate the size of the Earth by about a third. 3 cosmographical parameters determined the bounds of Columbus's enterprise: the distance across the ocean between Europe and Asia, which depended on the extent of the oikoumene, i.e., the Eurasian landmass stretching east-west between Spain and China, the circumference of the Earth, and the number of miles or leagues in a degree of longitude, which was possible to deduce from the theory of the relationship between the size of the surfaces of water and the land as held by the followers of Aristotle in medieval times. From Pierre d'Illy's Imago Mundi, 1410, Columbus learned of Alfraganus's estimate that a degree of latitude, equal to approximately a degree of longitude along the equator, spanned 56.67 Arabic miles, equivalent to 66.2 nautical miles, 122.6 kilometers or 76.2 miles, but he did not realize that this was expressed in the Arabic mile, about 1,830 meters or 1.14 miles, rather than the shorter Roman mile, about 1,480 meters, with which he was familiar. Columbus therefore estimated the size of the Earth to be about 75% of Eratosthenes's calculation, and the distance westward from the Canary Islands to the Indies is only 68 degrees, equivalent to 3,080 nmi, 5,700 kilometers, 3,540 mi, a 58% error. Most scholars of the time accepted Ptolemy's estimate that Eurasia spanned 180 degrees longitude, rather than the actual 130 degrees, to the Chinese mainland, or 150 degrees, to Japan at the latitude of Spain. Columbus believed an even higher estimate, leaving a smaller percentage for water. In d'Illy's Imago Mundi, Columbus read Marinus of Tyre's estimate that the longitudinal span of Eurasia was 225 degrees at the latitude of Rhodes. Some historians, such as Samuel Morison, have suggested that he followed the statement in the apocryphal Book 2 Esdras, 642, that 6 parts of the globe are habitable and the 7th is covered with water. He was also aware of Marco Polo's claim that Japan, which he called Sapangu, was some 2,414 kilometers, 1,500 miles, to the east of China, Cathay, and closer to the equator than it is. He was influenced by Toscanelli's idea that there were inhabited islands even farther to the east than Japan, including the mythical Antilia, which he thought might lie not much farther to the west than the Azores.